are ready to roll. How we doing today? IB Nation Sports Talks Friday Rapid Fire is up and rolling. That's sort of the unofficial name to the show. And Vince and I were kind of killing some time waiting backstage for Jesse. He just popped in right before we
literally like 1 second. I was
yeah, that's right.
In the show
I had started the countdown clock because I saw Salty was getting a little salty in there, but we were reminiscing about the Wonder Years, the TV show The Wonder Years, Fred Savage, because we had a little group text this afternoon, and Jesse responded with a Fred Savage GIF. So we were
talking to each other because he and I, your dad and I, are both Wonder Years fans. Do you have any idea what we're talking about?
Nope.
I knew it. It's too young. Too young.
The gift just fit the situation. That's all that matters.
It did on more levels than you know.
We are here, though. We're, all in our usual locations. No, Derek, I am not on the road. I had a women's basketball home game last night.
Domination.
So that's why, nothing last night yet. I'm not even going to go down that road. I don't know I've heard different iterations of there's going to eventually be something that's going to happen on Thursdays since I'm gone for the next 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
On Thursdays, there's always going to be a women's basketball game. But, so I'm not on the road. I had a home game last night, Notre Dame women's basketball. They crushed Wake Forest.
Yeah.
So that was good to see. Wake, a good defensive team, but that didn't bother Notre Dame much.
No,
I'll be heading to Syracuse tomorrow. So home game yesterday, heading to Syracuse tomorrow. Next week, I'll be gone Wednesday and Thursday because we're going to Clemson next week. My first trip to Clemson, so I'm looking forward to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Tigerland. All right.
Yes. Well, guys, are you ready? You want to throw some topics out and just kind of start spitting some game here?
Let's go, man.
All right.
I've been waiting all day for this.
This is the fun part of the day, right, Jess? I mean, having to work a day job, but then coming into this, this is the way to end a day.
Especially on a Friday. It's the perfect way to wrap up the week.
I know. Seriously.
You get all the good topics in one. You get all of the, right now, obviously, the playoffs are just getting ready to start in the NFL. So there's lots of good things to get into.
Finn McCool is right. The three amigos, right again. Here we go. Let's ride. So on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your very early confidence Sam Hartman will be a Heisman Trophy finalist next December?
I guess I'll start. I'm getting the thumb point from Vince. I put this at a 7 out of 10. I think that it ultimately rides on, there's a lot of good quarterbacks leaving. And I think that Sam Hartman is kind of like the front runner at this point, assuming that he puts up similar passing stats that he did last year. And a lot of it also rides on, how far Notre Dame can go. If they go 12-0, 11-1, then sure, that number is definitely boosted up. If he continues passing stats like he had at Wake Forest, I definitely think that also boosts it. But what you have to also look at is Notre Dame's going to have a running attack, right? And so how much of that, what is that share load going to look like? What is that percentage of pass run going to look like? Can he still put up as many numbers if he's not asked to throw the ball as many times per game? So I think a lot of it kind of hinges on where they want the balance to be in the offense. Ideally, you want a 50-50 split, but the passing split compared to what he had at Wake Forest is not going to be anywhere near the same, in my opinion, at Notre Dame. So that's kind of what factors in for me. If he can be elite with the ball, precise, kind of surgical, then I would bump that up to more of an 8 out of 10. But right now I'm sitting a 7 out of 10.
It 100% will rely on how good Notre Dame is as a team. I mean, the fact that Stetson Bennett and Max Duggan were finalists this past year, if anybody says those two are two of the best college football players, that's ridiculous. They're not. Those two are not two of the best college football players in the country, period. So you just have to be a quarterback on a top 5-ish team, to be honest. I mean, That's what it takes. And if Notre Dame is 11-1 at the end of the season, I think there's a really, really good chance that he's going to be a finalist because he's going to be a big reason as to why that is. Now, so you're basically asking me to predict whether Notre Dame's going to be 11-1 or 12-0. So I'm going to put it at a 6.5, because I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but in my opinion, the horse is the team. He's in the cart. So
True.
if the team is super successful, he's going to be a finalist. And I agree with Jess that his stats are probably not going to be what they were at Wake Forest. I completely agree with that. They're not going to have to be. I mean, if he's the quarterback at Notre Dame and they're doing well, he's
the driving force.
He's going to be a finalist because, I mean, again, I'll go back to the fact that Ian Book got Heisman votes on a Notre Dame team that was good. He had 16 passing touchdowns. Like, that's pedestrian at best, and he was getting Heisman votes. That tells you right there the strength of the Notre Dame brand.
Yeah, and did you know, by the way, that like we're talking about this in January, so we're obviously projecting ahead. We haven't even seen him in the spring. Florida State has already started its Heisman campaign for Jordan Travis.
Grief.
They've got a website up. They've, the whole thing. And some of it will depend on that. But being the quarterback at Notre Dame, if they're winning, and when you think about it, 2 big games will happen before the middle of October, the Ohio State game and the USC game. And Notre Dame gets to host both of them. And they'll both be primetime games. So those are going to be golden opportunities to really launch himself right now. And just everything is like, is he going to have the numbers that he had at Wake Forest? Most likely not. But I'm really excited about what this offense can be. And a couple other questions in this rapid fire will sort of address some of that as well. But Hartman, as of right now, Caleb Williams, who of course won the Heisman this year, is the front runner at plus 400. I would put like, if I were Vegas, I would put Caleb Williams much lower than that, simply because there's only been one repeat winner of the Heisman. It is so hard to win again. And Drake May at plus 1,000, Michael Penix, Bo Nix, Jordan Travis, they're all plus 1,200. Sam Hartman plus 1,800 as of right now. His odds have actually already gone up in about a week. The first odds I saw were plus 3,000. He is now plus 1,800. So,
man, if you get in on plus 3,000, you make some money.
I know. And guess who did? This guy.
Oh, you son. A little birdie in the ear wouldn't have been a bad thing there, Stiers. Come on, man.
That's right. So I like his chances. I think this offense can be really good. I think it can potentially be the best offense we've seen maybe in a couple decades here at Notre Dame with him as the quarterback. So I guess I haven't given a number yet. I put it at around 7.5, I think, as well. I feel pretty strongly, again, like even just looking at Vegas right now, he has the 6th best odds of, for the Heisman already. So,
who's in front of him, if you don't mind me asking?
Caleb Williams, Drake May, North Carolina, Michael Penix at Washington, Bo Nix at Oregon, and then Jordan Travis at Florida State.
Okay. I like Caleb and Drake May. I think the other ones are kind of
Yeah.
Williams isn't going to win a back-to-back, though. That's a sucker bet.
Yeah, exactly.
Because nobody's going to give it to him. Nobody wants to give back-to-back Heisman trophies. I mean, Tim Tebow probably deserved back-to-back Heismans at some point in his career. He won as a sophomore.
Yeah.
He stayed for his senior year. I mean, he probably deserved it more than anybody, to be honest. And he didn't even come close. I think he was a finalist, but so I guess you could say he came close, but still.
Exactly. Yeah, like Finn says, he's going to have a chance to really put some stats up early on with 3 gimme type games, kind of get those numbers padded a little bit, get warmed up, and then jump into Ohio State and kind of take off from there. So, and, like Salty said, with Notre Dame's backfield, offensive line, the defense, Hartman could really swing the sword. And, the receiving core is going to be interesting, but I just think the promise and all the possibilities with these running backs that Notre Dame has and the way they can use these running backs, that's what's got me excited. Between the offensive line, the running backs, and you put a quarterback with his experience in the middle of all that, I'm pretty excited about what this offense is going to look like. So I give him a really solid chance. One of the questions is going to be like, does Notre Dame get fully behind it? And if so, when? like remember the whole Josh Adams thing a few years ago, and they didn't even. That was just yeah. I mean, it was mid-season, but then it wasn't even about Josh Adams. Remember, they did the 33 trucking and all that stuff. The award is not a team award. It is an individual award. You have to promote the individual. I know that's tough, in a team sport for some, for some organizations, but you got to promote the individual if you want them to win the award. So, all right, fill in the blank. Notre Dame getting Ohio State grad transfer defensive end Javontae Jean-Baptiste from the transfer portal is blank.
It is a needed piece. I'll say that. It's a needed piece. And they needed it for depth. It sounds like he's going to be what Notre Dame calls a defensive end, which is the strong side in the last defense, right? So it sounds like he's going to be a strong side guy. They needed depth. I mean, I think he could be a kid who, based on watching some of his film, I think he could work both. I think he could work a little Viper. I think he could work a little big side defensive end. I think he could be kind of what they lost in Justin Adamalola, to be honest with you. And we were all kind of upset that he decided to move on. We understand why, but they needed a replacement. And whether that was going to be a kid that was already on the roster or not, I still think they needed some depth. And I think this kid fits the bill. I mean, I'm not saying that he's going to be an All-American. But he was in the rotation at Ohio State. Ohio State had a pretty decent defense. They did a pretty good job against Notre Dame's offensive line. There's no doubt about that. And, going off of, I want to say it was in Brian's article that he has on irishbreakdown.com. He had a 16% win percentage, when it comes to rushing the passer. And that's higher than any defensive end that Notre Dame had. So, I like it. I mean, it's a good depth piece, and it could potentially, I think the ceiling could be higher. So that's great.
Can you, I'm going to ask for a repeat of the question, please.
What's going on there in Cleveland today?
This one wasn't on the script. I just want to make sure I have my subject verb agreement.
Notre Dame getting Ohio State grad transfer defensive end Javontae Jean-Baptiste from the transfer portal is blank. And this was a late addition to our rundown. But I texted both of these guys that, the question was going to be in there.
Tells me that Jesse doesn't listen when you and I talk. I mean, that's what
exactly.
What I'm hearing.
Exactly. No, this is where I struggle with, because it's like hard to put it into just one word. But I think this addition fills a much needed hole in the defense. This is a thing that everyone's kind of been talking about, as that they need to reload on, is at the defensive line and linebacker over the offseason. Al Washington's been catching a lot of flack. And it's just great that he was able to kind of go out into this transfer portal, him and, Marcus Freeman, to go out and get this guy. I think, like Vince said, it's going to be a guy I like on the defensive line. I like a hockey style type rotation. I think that's the best way to compare, to give an analogy, is you always want new bodies in there kind of, running off the field. And so the more guys that you have, the better. And especially when you end higher end guys, someone like him, with a win percentage of 16%. I think I saw he's like a 4-star overall composite. Like, it's never a bad thing when you add that kind of guy to the room and you add him to your kind of hockey line style rotation on the defensive line. You always want fresh bodies in. You always want guys, rushing the passer with fresh legs. So I like all of that. And I think that, again, it was much needed fill in the hole for this defensive line.
Before I go any further, I forgot to remind you, hit the like button if you would while you're watching live on the YouTube channel. Subscribe, rate, and review. And thanks for being here as always. But, got the connection to Al Washington, because Washington, of course, was at Ohio State before he came here. So that's good. It's a nice feather in Al Washington's cap with all, everything else going on. As Vince said, a guy who was productive in a deep rotation there. I saw this on Pro Football Focus today. There's a chart of what they call win shares added from the transfer portal this offseason.
I saw that too
so far. And it was Notre Dame is far and away leading.
They're skyrocketed up there.
Yeah. They're far and away leading all FBS schools right now in what they have added through the transfer portal right now. They're a bit above a 1.2. And now that number, it doesn't mean anything to me, probably doesn't mean anything to anybody else, but I guess that's 1.2 wins win shares added. By comparison, UCLA is second behind Notre Dame. They have about a 0.7. So Notre Dame is 1.2, UCLA second at 0.7. Virginia Tech is around a 0.6. And, the majority of the country is around a 0 right now. So when you add this guy, and I still have to look at his name, Jean-Baptiste, you add him. They've already added a safety who can play nickel, of course, from Oklahoma State. They've had a receiver. They've added Sam Hartman, who we've talked about. So really good quality that they've been able to add so far. And just as far as what this guy could mean, you're probably able to move, like, with the lack of depth, especially in the middle, you get this guy to add to the edge. Probably means more of Riley Mills playing defensive tackle. And I mean, his body getting bigger anyway. That's probably best for the team and best for him. So I think it's a good piece that they're able to put in place. A guy with some experience that they can put in place. And again, he's got experience with Al Washington. So I think that helps as well.
Absolutely. It's a win-win. I mean, at the very least, you have a rotation guy. I think that's the floor. And so the floor is high as far as what you needed. And that's fantastic, because right now they're counting on a lot of young guys to fill some roles. And it'd be great if every one of those young guys pans out and is a contributor. It'd be great. But the odds are somebody's not going to. I don't know who that is, right? But with this kid, he's got experience. He's a fifth-year kid or a sixth-year kid. I wouldn't even say sixth year. I think he was at Ohio State for 5 years. But so he's a sixth-year kid. He's going to be around. He's going to be a kid that you can count on. He's going to be in the rotation. So the floor is very high, and I think the opportunity for a ceiling is also there.
This is the chart we were talking about. Thank you very much, Jesse, for helping us out. You can see where Notre Dame is. Notre Dame is like the spike up at the top, and then again UCLA and Virginia Tech, and look where everyone else is clustered in together there around 0 and below. So
wow,
Notre Dame's done pretty well in the transfer portal now already.
I think you can make the claim that they have been the best in the portal so far.
Yeah, I mean, according to this, they are.
Well, and not only have they gotten good guys, but they've filled specific needs that they had. Going into the offseason, we're like, okay, they got a hole at safety. Check. They got a hole at quarterback. Check. They got a hole in the defensive line. Check. Like they're meeting their specific needs with good players. So, I mean, they're really doing a great job in the transfer portal, if you ask me.
We've been talking about the transfer portal, Brent, who just logged in. Thanks for
Notre Dame football
joining us. Yes, Notre Dame football. That's right. Specifically, the newest grad transfer added, Javontae Jean-Baptiste, the defensive end from Ohio State. And I saw a question from Derek. I guess it depends on who departs, but curious how active we are in the second round of the portal. And I don't know. That's a good question. It is potentially dependent upon who leaves, but more or less we expect more depth type guys to leave. And it also might depend on whose name shows up in the portal in early May when it opens back up again, specific to position and things like that.
Absolutely. Because my anticipation is that it is going to – they're going to lose some depth guys, but not even depth guys that we're going to be playing. So I don't know. And look, they're over 90 scholarships right now. The last time I checked, they're going to need some of those guys to bail.
Yeah, I think they're around 95, 96 at this point.
Yeah,
so
they're going to need some guys to bail in order to get back to where they need to be at 85. And so they know they know there's going to be people leaving, maybe specifically, maybe not specifically. But they know that they're going to be able to get to where they need to be. And right now, that means they need to drop some people. People need to go in order to get them where they don't need to be adding more. Now, they still might, depending on who leaves. But some of the other guys are more in tune to this than I am. But from what I've heard, I do not anticipate, shocking names to be hitting the portal. So I don't know that they're going to be like, oh crap, we have to replace that kid. I don't I don't see that happening. So, but we'll see. You never know. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time I've been surprised. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, stuff can happen. That's for sure. All right, next question. Fill in the blank. It's blank that former Notre Dame commit turned USC wide receiver turned transfer portal entry CJ Williams has committed to Wisconsin before his scheduled visit to Notre Dame this weekend.
I'm going to go with not surprising that he backed out on the Notre Dame visit and committed to Wisconsin before taking the visit to Notre Dame. I think what's even more surprising on my end is that he decided to leave USC after being an early enrollee, only stayed one season, and then is going to a school like Wisconsin. I understand that Wisconsin's getting a new coach and Luke Fickell, but when you think of traditionally, Wisconsin over the past at least 10 years, you think of their power run game with Melvin Gordon, Jonathan Taylor, etc. at running back. So to me, it just doesn't seem like the necessary best fit. And so if you're going to go somewhere like Wisconsin, again, I don't know if Luke Fickell is, guaranteeing that the offense might look a little different. But to me, as a premier wide receiver, I'd want to explore all my options and figure out maybe what offense best suits the talents that I can bring.
Yeah, it's not overly surprising at all. When he first went into the portal and Notre Dame expressed a bit of interest. I mean, I listened to Brian. He's like, yeah, it's probably not going to happen, guys. And, he was trying to let everybody down nice and easy on the board, basically saying, let's not get our hopes up here. And you know what? We've talked about this particular situation a lot on the shows. I'm really okay with this. Like, I don't think that he's a special talent. An overly special.
I like
talent.
the guy that they added from. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech. That's a guy with more experience, more leadership, proven that
Yep.
he's the guy more so than a guy that's unproven and still young.
And that's the thing. It's like, okay, where does he help your roster? Of course, I'm all about stacking talent on your roster. I mean, that's what you have to do if you want to be competitive. I get that. It just didn't feel right. Like the whole fit from on the field, off the field, the way he left things with Notre Dame in the first place. And let's be honest, the way he left things now, he schedules a visit and then he doesn't even show up. Like, what? You enjoy Wisconsin.
Complete agreement.
Jump around, buddy.
Cheese curds are great, man. Go get you some. Go grab you some up, because he committed once, goes to USC, and then he says he's going to take a visit. Doesn't even take the visit. Fine. Go do your thing. They've got some talent, like Jesse said. I like, the Smith, the kid from Virginia Tech, much better anyway. He's tons more experienced, and they've got enough young guys coming up. I still wouldn't mind seeing them go get one more guy if he's experienced enough, who you can add to the mix, especially when you've got a guy like Hartman now. But because like Smith committed before Hartman even committed here, so that was a good get to begin with. Now you've got a quarterback like Hartman, and if you're a receiver who's transferring, that's a pretty good matchup, I think, for you. And again, between everything else going on with the offense, so no skin off my back as far as I'm concerned. Enjoy Wisconsin again. Sharp cheddar up there, cheese curds, whatever you want, it's all good.
The reality is he's going to go to Wisconsin. We're never going to hear about him again. I mean, that's just from a football standpoint. We're just not going to, and that's fine. I mean, go for it, man. Like, you do you. He's still going to school for free. He's probably got a little NIL money, selling some cheese, and so he'll be all right.
So the thing is, also I look at is he's the same class and situation as someone like Tobias Merriweather. So are you more concerned and excited about the development of someone like Tobias, or did you want two people and potentially kind of losing out on what the full potential of someone like Tobias Merriweather might be?
Yep. I think there's a lot of stock in Tobias Merriweather. I'd buy that, especially considering he committed here to begin with. So
yep. So I'm totally fine with him heading to Wisconsin.
So we were talking about Sam Hartman off the top of the show tonight, and Finn asks, with a bit of locker room mutiny ND had this past season, do you believe Hartman will have the backing from the team?
Well, all they have to do is watch him in practice, and they're probably going to be just fine with the way that Sam Hartman handles himself. From everything I've heard, Sam Hartman is a good locker room guy. He's a good leader. He's a good kid. And most of the issues that I was aware of that were in the locker room are not there anymore. So I'm not overly worried about it, to be honest with you. The issues in the locker room were not from transfers. So I don't think that is going to be a problem. Sam Hartman is going to be wanted, obviously, by the staff, and obviously he wants to be there with this staff. And so some of the issues that were there really have nothing to do with Sam Hartman and what he's going to bring to the table. So, and like I said, the issues that I heard of, they're not there anymore. So I don't see it being an issue in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important thing is he comes in, can he deliver? Can he show that he's the guy? Yeah. That's the biggest thing. That's what guys want. They want the guy. Everyone has friends, but at the end of the day, the guys who are starting are the guys who everyone, coaches, players, everyone, the guys that that everyone wants on the field are the ones that give them the best chance to win. I think that's gonna go the farthest.
Yeah, I mean, full disclosure, all the people care about, players included, at the end of the day, is who's winning them the games, who's giving you the best chance to go to that national championship at the end of the year, because that's what everyone plays for, especially when you're at a program like Notre Dame, who is considered a team that is supposed to be in the final 10 every year, if not competing for the playoff and national championship every year. So when a guy is not winning you games or helping you get towards that end goal, I mean, it doesn't really matter. You throw it all out the window. If he's a great leader and he's great to his teammates and he wins you games, I mean, there's nothing really else you can say.
Yeah. So Marcus Freeman voted TCU 5th in his final coaches poll ballot this week. He put his alma mater, Ohio State, 2nd, followed by Alabama, with, of course, Georgia, number 1. But Nick Saban voted his team 2nd, put TCU 3rd, while Kirby Smart had TCU 2nd and Alabama 6th. My question to you guys is, should coaches be compelled to keep the top 4 in their ballot? Should they be the 4 teams who are in the college football playoff? Like, you start with those 4 in whatever order, and then the rest of your ballot goes from there.
No, I don't think so, because, considering, I think if the games are a lot closer and more competitive, I guess I should say outside the championship they were, but you saw in the championship that kind of the lopsidedness of one team that kind of, didn't necessarily potentially belong in that top 4. And so, no, I don't think that you should be compelled to keep those teams in there. I think that's why you play these games. I think that's why you play other important bowl games at the end of the season, is you get a final kind of statement, a final exam of how these teams stack up, against the rest of the field. And after we get, go around on this, I'd like to hear everyone's take on what their final top 6 would be, if you could mail in a ballot.
Oh, wow.
I got to think about it. But
I was going to say, I don't even,
While you're thinking about it, I'll go ahead and answer the question. Absolutely not should the final 4 people automatically be in the final 4. I mean, the top 25 will change after the bowl games. This is they're bowl games. Yes, 2 teams are playing one more game than everybody else. I get that, but they're bowl games. You should be able to switch things around based on.
But if you play in the national championship game, you're the runner-up.
I don't buy that.
I don't buy that either. Not in college football, you're not.
If you keep it
yes, close, you just played in the national championship game.
Nope. Yeah, it's not how polls work. Nope.
I just think that if
what a bunch of sore losers.
In most years, I would agree. But when something like this happens, when a team loses 65-7 in the national championship, there's clear, gap between one.
They had a night. They had a night.
I think that would happen 10 out of 10 nights.
Well, Alabama had a night too.
Who's to say it wouldn't have happened to anybody else, though?
It could have, and I would have bumped them back too. It has nothing to do with the name on the front of the jersey. It has to do with the score. You get blown out like that. Sorry, I'm putting you back. You're falling back.
And schools like Michigan should be embarrassed after that type of
What's interesting is TCU did end up, again, these are individual coaches voting this way, but TCU did end up number 2 with Michigan 3rd and Ohio State 4th in both polls, and then Alabama 5th. Right, I tend to think that at the very least 1 and 2 you should be, because again, you played in you have a playoff. You played in the national championship game. By definition, you are the national runner-up. So you even if you lose, regardless of what the score is, you shouldn't finish any farther down than that. And I guess what I'm alluding to is like there's always like all these coaches have their own agenda when they send in these ballots.
Absolutely.
Again, like
Absolutely.
Nick Saban was trying to convince us from the very even to the last minute that Alabama deserved to be in there despite their losses, and here he comes and he votes himself second, and meanwhile Kirby Smart has him sixth.
I'm surprised he didn't vote him first.
Yeah.
To be honest,
exactly.
I'm really. I would have not at all been surprised about that. Yeah, would not have been surprised about that in any way. Which is why they shouldn't even have the coaches poll. It's stupid.
Right. I mean, and theoretically, not even theoretically, it means nothing because all that matters is the final college football playoff ranking.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't matter, but
at the end of the day, the only one that matters is the people who came in first. So it's semantics, obviously, to talk about 2 through 130, but they just got embarrassed, man. It's hard to keep them at 2 after that. It just is, and not just the fact that they got embarrassed. It looked like they didn't give a crap. Like there were guys that were just laying all day and just
by the time
whiffing on blocks. I mean, early in the game,
45-7.
I'm talking early in the game. There's wide receivers out there just like, yeah, whatever. Guys not even making tackles, making business decisions. Like it was ugly. It was ugly. You don't get to be the number 2 team. Sorry. I don't know. They didn't look prepared.
Yeah. So what would your top 6 look like, Jess, since you decided you needed to quiz us?
I just 1 Georgia, 2 Ohio State, 3 Tennessee, 4 Alabama, 5 Michigan, 5 TCU, 6 Michigan.
I just can't put those teams in there. I'm sorry. They didn't even win their conference, let alone get
I'll
to
reiterate
the
to give Vince some time. 1
Georgia,
Georgia,
that high.
2 Ohio State, 3 Tennessee, 4 Alabama, 5 TCU, 6 Michigan.
What do you have one, Sean? Because
I just can't believe the people that still have Alabama finishing over Tennessee. Tennessee beat them in the regular season, also won a New Year's Six bowl game, and so anyone that says Bama is in front of Tennessee, I argue why play a regular season.
And again, there's politicking going on. These things get made public, and everyone gets to see them. I completely agree. Tennessee was clearly the better team. Based on what I said, I would put Georgia first, TCU second. I would probably have, I guess it's, Michigan did win the head-to-head, so I would have to put Michigan third and then Ohio State fourth. I would, like Jesse said, I would put Tennessee fifth and probably Alabama sixth. Really, like once you get out of that, everyone's got 2 losses, and there are a lot of very equal, even teams. So it's, like Penn State ended up 7th.
That's what I mean. Once you fall out of 6,
I really don't feel like Penn State was the 7th best team in the country this year. Like who was ever talking about Penn State as an elite team?
I hate Penn State. Penn State
ended up where they are because their 2 losses were to 2 playoff teams, and they beat everybody else in a weak Big Ten. It was very top heavy.
So here's my issue.
Give it to us.
No, I've got it, and it's going to totally go against my argument that I just had because I don't think so. As I look at this, right, and I look at individual matchups, like a lot of these teams played each other. Yeah, and that means a lot to me as far as what happened on the field. And so my top 6 will be Georgia, TCU, Michigan, Ohio State, Tennessee, Alabama. That's what my final 6 would be because, yes, TCU got absolutely embarrassed. They don't belong. I don't think they belong in the 2-hole, but the problem is they beat Michigan on the field. And then Michigan beat Ohio State. So they should be above them. And then Tennessee beat Alabama. So they should be above them. So it all kind of works out that way. And
I mean, kind of to Michael says South Carolina beat Tennessee, so Notre Dame should be ahead of Tennessee. And I mean, in reality, Tennessee beat Clemson. Notre Dame beat both South Carolina and Clemson.
So if A equals B and
yeah,
B
the
equals
transitive
C,
property
then C
doesn't
equals
really
A.
work in,
That's
in
right.
football.
That's
I
right.
go much more along the lines of what did you do against each other on the field, not what did your
Right.
opponent do against somebody else. That's
Exactly.
It is about matchups, and it is about this. Then I know you guys are just goofing, but like it is like if you played head to head on the field, winner goes ahead. I'm sorry. That's the where I come from. I know there's somebody that's employed by Irish Breakdown that does not go by that, but I do.
All right, NFL playoffs start this weekend. Wild card round. Is there a game that interests you the most this weekend?
I'll take this one first because I think everybody thinks that you guys are going to go Dallas, Tampa Bay, because obviously you guys are Cowboy fans. My team is trying to figure out who they're going to get with the number 1 pick. So I'm just in it to watch football. Okay. And to be honest with you, Dallas, Tampa Bay has the most excitement around it. And it's the game of all of these games. If you said you could only watch one game, that's the one. I mean, that's the game I would watch. If I'm being honest, I'm watching old man Tom Brady versus Dallas. And I want to see old man Brady go down. So I'll be rooting on the Cowboys along with you fellas.
So I'm going to omit the Cowboys and Buccaneers game because clearly that is the game I am the most concerned about. I have the most, I'm glued to it every play, every second. But outside of that, I'm going to say there's 2 games for me, really. And it was hard for me to pick one. I'm going to give both, and then I'm going to pick one. I like the Giants and Vikings, and I also like the Jaguars and Chargers. I like them both for different reasons. I think that this is the second time the Giants and Vikings are meeting each other. They played in the regular season. It was a good game. The Vikings barely squeaked it out. I think there's big, huge upset potential in that game for the Giants to sneak that one out. And then I'm also very interested in this Jaguars game because the Jaguars are hot. I think in the last 10, they're hosting this game. So, Chargers got to come all the way across the country. Mike Williams is going to be out at wide receiver. That's a huge loss for them. And I think I was reading the last 10 weeks, Trevor Lawrence is the highest graded quarterback out of all NFL quarterbacks. He's been a stud. And I want to see if
watching last week though against Tennessee.
So I want to see if that holds up in the playoffs. I want to see what Trevor Lawrence is made about, what he's made of in the playoffs. And I think the last shot I'll get out here as I think that this is a huge shot at Urban Meyer and who he is as a coach, from them going to how bad they were last year and then getting a whole new coaching staff and then making the playoffs. Trevor Lawrence looks completely different. So I'm going to say the Jaguars and Chargers game is the game I am most interested in.
Jesse just said Trevor Lawrence.
Look at that hair.
How he's not on a Head and Shoulders commercial, I don't know.
I know. So obviously the one that I actually care about the most is Monday night. And I'm glad that it's Monday because I'm traveling part of Saturday and I've got a game and then traveling Sunday. The one that I am most interested in, though, is 49ers Seahawks. And I'm pretty sure that the 49ers are going to win this game. I don't know how competitive it ends up being. I told Vince before we started, the game that I picked was going to have a connection. My rationale was going to have something to do with Notre Dame. So the San Francisco 49ers use 21 personnel more than any team in the NFL. All right? And they're very effective with it. So, like Tommy Rees, has had this eye on NFL and everything, back to the McVay roots and all that different kind of stuff. And, Shanahan and McVay had, the connection and all that as well. But to me, like watching the San Francisco offense, just watch a little bit of that 49ers game and watch when they run their 21 stuff. And when you look at what the strength of next year's team should be, the offensive line, the quarterback, and all those running backs, and the things that they can do, again, with having 2 running backs on the field, they all can catch passes, so you can either, you can put 1 in the backfield, you can put 2 in the backfield, you can flank them all out if you want to, and have empty and the things that they can do with that 21 personnel. So that's what, kind of piques my curiosity is watching the 49ers. As much as I don't like them, the things that they can do, the imagination they can have, like that's like part of the potential I think Notre Dame's offense can have because of that special group of running backs they're going to have next season.
So, text Tommy, tell him to watch. Make sure you're watching this game.
Hey, the Seahawks are gonna cover that spread. Don't doubt the Seattle Seahawks. You got a great experienced head coach in Pete Carroll. It's gonna be a monsoon out there, lots of rain. I think that's gonna also equal out the playing field. I think that game's gonna be a lot closer than what people think. I think there's huge upset potential in that game, actually.
I don't know about upset potential. I think it could be pretty close though. But
just throwing my tidbit out there.
Oh,
no, I know.
You can throw your kids all anywhere you want. That's fine.
What two teams are you picking right now to meet in the Super Bowl?
49ers and Bills.
Okay.
I like what the 49ers do offensively. I do. I mean, you were just
There's
talking
gritty.
about it.
They play hard, physical.
I haven't watched a lot of
line.
Yeah, I haven't watched a lot of 49ers football.
Great
but
defense.
I've seen a lot of clips that I really like about them. There's a lot of NFC teams that I don't trust, to be honest with you. Unfortunately, Dallas is one of them. I think they've got the talent to be there, but I don't know that they're going to be able to put it all together and make a run. So I agree with Jesse. I think it's going to be the Bills, and I think it's going to be San Francisco.
I'm going San Francisco and Cincinnati. I like where the Bengals are rolling right now. They've already got a head-to-head win over Kansas City. What's that?
I said back-to-back years for the Bengals. Bold prediction.
I mean, I wouldn't typically pick, but just the way they're playing right now, and again, they've beaten Kansas City once. And this next question that we're going to get to, if Cincinnati is in the AFC Championship game, it's not going to be a neutral site game.
Right.
It would be, either in Buffalo or in Kansas City, basically. But I'm going to.
All right.
Joe Burrow hasn't lost to the Chiefs yet, so
I know.
I'm just
and
putting
Brock
it out
Purdy
there.
hasn't lost as a starter on the other side.
I just think when the 49ers eventually meet the Eagles in the NFC Championship or potentially the Cowboys, that they're just more of a team that's put together. They're just like a well-oiled machine. Defensively, they're stout. They don't commit penalties. They play physical. They play hard-nosed. All of it. They're just a very detailed football team, and I think the Cowboys get too sloppy, and then I think the inexperience on the Philadelphia staff would get to them against the 49ers.
Yeah, I think so. So the NFL did decide on Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta for the site of the potential Kansas City-Buffalo AFC Championship game if those two teams get that far. And the neutral site will only be used if it's both the Chiefs and the Bills. That's the only case. So you've got Mercedes-Benz Dome Stadium in Atlanta. Do you buy or sell it for the location of this potential neutral site game?
I buy this, and I've seen a lot of chatter this week. I saw something from Nick Wright saying, both of these teams are outdoor teams, so if they were hosting, why would you not put it in outdoor elements, which I get. But, I don't know. For a fan, someone who's watching the game, I want the best product at all times, and that's in a dome. You have nice domes. You don't have to worry about the weather. Both teams are on an equal playing field, essentially, because weather can sometimes benefit one team compared to the other. Like when I was playing in high school, every time we played a triple option offense and the field was flooded out, how are you supposed to, stop a team that's getting 2 to 3 yards and kind of false starting every time? So, there's things like that. I think in the most equal playing field that you play in a dome, it's just the best viewer experience. I think you get the best performance out of both teams. Would it be fun to play outside? Sure. But the dome is the right answer to me.
I just want to make sure now, are you accusing any
Yes,
triple option teams in the area of flooding out their fields before you played them?
Yes, and it's not even flooded out. It's like the worst. They don't even the rain is like the added cherry on top because they don't maintain it on purpose. They let it go crappy, and then when it rains, it's even a better advantage for them. It's not well kept, and then the rain comes, and it's like, oh, we don't care about the rain because we already play on a crappy field.
I was going to say, I can tell you from the last few years of experience, they know the field is crappy. They don't like it either. Different head coach back then, but they do know the field is crappy, and they've been lobbying to to get the funds to get themselves a turf field, but that's a different story for a different day.
They can get a
Vince,
video board. They can get a turf field. That's
They
another
choose. They
Yeah.
choose it.
Yeah, exactly. God, what do we? Oh, the neutral site game. I was like, we're all talking about high school football. Like, I'm in. But anyway, the neutral site, it's fine. I think that Kansas City and Buffalo are two of the most high-powered offenses out there as well. And as a neutral party fan who doesn't give a crap either way who wins, I want to see some points put on the board.
You want to see those offenses go to work.
Absolutely. And so I'm okay.
I suppose.
I'm okay with it.
I knew that this would be your response.
I'm okay with it because I like to see points being scored. But
like, what if there's like 4 feet of snow in the forecast in Buffalo? You want to watch a game like that?
Yes.
Come on.
Yes.
Yes, I do want to see that too.
Yes. I want the breath coming out of their mouths. I want their faces frozen as numb as they can be. I want to see red snot, frozen dripping on their mustaches and beards. That's what I want because they're cold weather teams. And I want to see them play in cold weather. That's what I would much prefer to see than seeing a sterile environment in a dome stadium.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I like points. I like offense, but it's the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I also like snow games, man. I do.
Yeah.
I
did hear some stuff kind of kicking around in some different reports that there has been talk over the last few years, I guess, within the NFL about permanent AFC and NFC neutral site games, which I personally think would be a horrible idea. But there's kind of some, maybe kicking the tires on this to see how this goes, playing it in a dome stadium and all that stuff. I think it would just stink if you take it, off, home field advantage for the conference championship games. I think having partisan fans there and just the environment is just so much different than putting it on a neutral site. I mean, the Super Bowl ends up being a corporate event anyway.
Yes.
There are very few actual fans who get to show up. So
correct.
Keep the conference championship games in home stadiums.
Completely agree. It would sterilize that weekend of the playoffs. That's no fun for me. Sorry. Hard pass.
Yep. So the NFL also announced its Pro Bowl games and skills competitions this week because there's not going to be an actual Pro Bowl game for the first time ever. So here are some of the events they're going to have. Flag football game. They're going to have a dodgeball game. They're going to have a lightning round water balloon contest where 2 different guys toss water balloons back and forth from different distances to see if they can, not blow them up. They've got longest distance golf drive. They've got a precision passing contest for the quarterbacks, best catch contest for receivers, a gridiron gauntlet with teams of 5 players who pull a weighted wall, climb over walls under tape, kind of an obstacle course kind of thing. And then kick-cat-toe for kickers and punters. They try to, complete a line of 3 kicks. I guess there's like a tic-tac-toe board out on the field, and the kickers and punters, basically play kick-cack-toe. What do you guys think of all this for the Pro Bowl?
That's what I think about the whole
Vince
thing.
is a huge fan.
Oh, man.
That's terrible. That is terrible. Dodgeball? It sounds like field day at your local elementary school in June. That's what all of those things sound like to me. The only thing that might be remotely interesting would be the accuracy contest by the quarterbacks and maybe kick-cack-toe, because that would actually be pretty difficult to do. Other than that, boring. I don't want to. I really want to see NFL players play dodgeball with each other, or water balloon toss.
Yeah.
I'm much more likely to watch any of this than I was the Pro Bowl. I've probably watched 10 total minutes of Pro Bowl over the last 10 years.
And I'm not saying that one's better than the other because they're both terrible. Why don't just make it like an All-America team like they do in college? They don't go play a game. You're just named to the team. That's it. I don't need to see a game. I don't need to see
duck,
skills
dip, dive, and dodge, Vince. Come on.
Stupid. Are you kidding me? Water balloon toss? Come on. It sounds more like a bridal shower than it does, actual talented men going up against each other.
Yeah, Vince is just being a straight hater right now. I think this is I think
I
this
didn't
is
realize we had like an 80-year-old guy on
That's
this
what I mean,
show.
like, everyone complains
that Vince Gates is turning into like grumpy old man.
This
by
is,
the
you know,
day.
everyone complains about the Pro Bowl, just like they complain about the NBA All-Star game, just like they complain about the MLB All-Star game. It's just, you know, there's not enough action. It's kind of boring, and you can tell. I think the MLB All-Star game is the most competitive out of the three. This guys are what are seeming to make business decisions, right? No one wants to get hurt, especially the NBA one, because it's the middle of the season. Don't want a guy tearing an ACL. And just like you don't want some of the best players to get hurt at the end of the season, you know, going into the offseason. So what do? You lighten it up. You try to find ways to be competitive and fun at the same time and get viewers, you know, to tune in. That's really what it's all about, in my opinion. I'm more inclined to tune in and watch the various skills competitions, the kick-cat-toe, the best catch competition. I tuned in last year when they started doing some of the more stuff, like Micah Parsons ran a 40-yard dash against Tyreek Hill and lost by like half a step. I was very
I'm surprised they aren't doing
like
some of that kind of stuff, you know. But
so yeah,
I think
overall,
that would be fun too.
I think it's great because it spices it up and it's allowing for the fans to gain, you know, to tune in and actually watch it because that's what they want. They want it to, you know, to sell and to make money. And then the players themselves don't have to worry about getting hurt and stuff like that. So I'm all aboard. I think it's a win for both sides in this situation.
Here's the difference for me. Even the way they play the Pro Bowl, the three of us could not participate and still look decent. Okay. The three of us could do balloon toss. We could do dodgeball. We could do all the crap that they're doing, except for maybe kick-cat-toe and the accuracy contest. Okay. If an average Joe can participate in these events, they shouldn't have them. It's a waste of time. These are supposed to be high-level athletes paying millions of dollars to play balloon toss.
They've got a 3-point shooting contest every year at the, you know, in the NBA. It's like there's a lot of dudes who never played who can go out there and shoot
Drain
some
threes. Yeah, you're not wrong. You are not wrong.
I think the longest drive golf contest is going to be so fun. I want to see these jacked up
football.
Yeah, but these jacked up football players just trying to launch a golf ball as far as they can. Like it's just fun to see how these skills as football players translate into these maybe more kind of intermediate games or skills that Vince, quote unquote, anyone could do. I'd like to see you go out there and dodge a ball from freaking Geno Smith coming at your head.
Let's go. It's
very Battle of the Network stars from.
I am literally a gym teacher. I teach dodgeball. Let's go.
Let's do it.
I have put
Vince. Are you over the top? Or are you a little?
See, that's what they should do. They should get like a team
action?
They should like get a team of fans out there and let a team of fans compete against them as well.
I would tune into that.
Average Joes versus NFL players.
Yeah,
dodgeball?
You're right. Average Joe's won the dodgeball. I saw a meme or a tweet or whatever it was, I think this morning, that Max Duggan, the TCU quarterback, they showed a picture of him and Steve the Pirate from Dodgeball. Someone said, I didn't realize Max Duggan was the pirate from Dodgeball. And it's like, it could be. You just age him just a little bit, and it could easily be the same guy. Steve the Pirate could have been Max's dad, I think.
That is fantastic. Fantastic.
Arr, Peter. All right. Last question tonight. Progressive Insurance has these new commercials where they have an instant replay for little disagreements about what happened in your house. I don't know if you guys have seen these.
I have.
Or not.
I love these.
For example, like if a husband says he put away the dishes, but the wife says, no, you didn't. You know, the husband throws his red challenge flag and a replay crew rushes in the room to settle the dispute. So my question is, would having one of these in real life help you or hurt you more on a daily basis?
I think that it would allow me to think that I'm going to win more, but in reality, I would lose more because I have had a very terrible memory after starting like full-time work. And like, I don't know, I thought that like things would get, maybe I never thought that my memory would go as I got older this drastically, but I seem to forget things.
20s.
I know, that's what I mean. I seem to forget so much now. And I know that I would think every time I'm going to win this one, I'll throw the red and I would lose. So I would think that my winning percentage would be like 75%, but really it'd be like 25%.
That's actually a really good explanation. You sound like a married man already.
Yeah.
I've had almost 20 years of marriage under my belt. My head still thinks I should win more arguments than I know I will. And so I'd be throwing that challenge flag all the time, and it would be very disappointing
I
because
think it'd be demoralizing because you'd be like,
it
I
really
really
would-
am wrong this
it really
much.
would be. I would be wrong all the time.
Yeah.
I would be wrong all the time.
I think it would at least get to 50-50 though, because
Maybe.
there are times where, like I think, well, I did this and, whatever. And then, I start, like where'd you put my hat, or, wherever it happens to be. I didn't put the hat anywhere. And, it's like, oh yeah, I probably did actually put it over there. That was me. But there are other times where, like if we had a true, there are plenty of things in my house that just completely disappear and never show back up again.
That would
And
very much aid you.
Yes. I think you're right, because I think things end up in the trash that no one will admit to. So I think that happens around here, more times than anyone will admit. So I think I would win some challenges if we had that. Those are great commercials, though. The first couple I saw, I was like, this is awesome.
I actually like the one, it was the mom and the daughter and about the sweet potatoes. And
I don't know if I've seen that one.
Oh, it's pretty good. Like there are, the grandma was like, how come you don't have sweet potatoes? And they're like, well, because, the daughter forgot to buy them. And she's like, forgot to buy them. They weren't on the list. And she's like, yes, they were. They throw the flag.
See, there you go.
They were not on the list. And the mom says, we forgot. And then the daughter kicks her under the table. She's like, I forgot to put it on the list. That was a good one. That was a good one for sure.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for tonight. Good stuff tonight. There were one or two that I thought I was going to have on the list today, and then the list kept expanding. So I'm like, well,
I want to do one quick one. I want us to go through the NFL games and pick who you think wins. Bing, 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 bing. Just for fun.
And we get to revisit it. Are we going to revisit our picks?
I just want to. We'll see. We'll come back. There's like 6 games next week. We'll keep like a running maybe playoff tally to see who does the best.
All right.
It's a big topic this weekend. Come on.
Okay.
All right. Well,
I'm struggling to find upsets. I know there are going to be upsets, but I struggle to find any. So
I'll start. Seahawks are going to lose to the 49ers. The Jaguars are going to beat the Chargers. The Bills will beat the Dolphins. The Giants will beat the Vikings.
What's your upset?
The Bengals will beat the Ravens. And the last game of the week on Monday Night Football.
Say it. Just say it. Say it.
I've convinced myself all week that the Buccaneers are going to win this game, but I'm saying it now. The Cowboys are going to win.
Okay. How about you, Vince?
All right. So I will go with San Francisco. I will also go with Jacksonville, Buffalo, Minnesota, Cincinnati, and Dallas.
So 49ers, clean sweep there. I'm going to go with the Chargers. I'm just, the Jaguars are rolling a little bit here, but it's not like they've played great, especially, like I was saying, that Tennessee game last week. So I'm going to go with the Chargers. I think they're a little bit better. I like Buffalo. I really wish that Tua was playing in that game to actually make it a game.
It'd be fun.
I know. The Giants-Vikings game is probably the toughest one. It was so close the first time, and the Vikings have the minus, the negative point differential for the season. I'm just going to go with the home team, the Vikings, just because the Giants are so fashionable. Like everyone is on the Giants, so I'm just going to say the Vikings win this game. They'll probably, they'll end up losing next week, but I think they'll win this week. Again, no Lamar Jackson for the Ravens, so I think the Bengals are an easy
Huntley
pick.
might not even play.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I think I saw today the Ravens' chances to win go down to 11. It's like 19% if Huntley plays, and it goes down to 11% if he doesn't play. So, Cowboys, Buccaneers, I honestly just don't know. Like,
I'm
all
so
I've been hearing all
50-50.
week is how crappy the Cowboys are on grass, and of course you've got the Tom Brady factor, and the Cowboys haven't been playing well, and
They're wearing the road blues in the playoffs.
yeah,
I know
you
you've
got
heard that
too.
narrative.
Dak is 1-3.
A lot
in
of
the playoffs.
interceptions.
You know, Dak also, like I keep hearing like Chris Russo on ESPN when he's on there on First Take with Stephen A. talk about Dak has never won a road playoff game. Well, guess what? He's only played one road playoff game. So while technically that might be true, he's also only ever had that opportunity.
Small sample
once.
size.
Yes, that's right. I'm just gonna pick Dallas.
Yes.
I really don't think they're gonna win, but I'm picking them. So
No, you mean that. You don't just throw out wins and losses out there. You pick,
Yeah.
you know, you're the guy who gives the most honest answers. You'll pick against your team. I know that you truly mean that.
okay, all right. So we can all be heartbroken. Like I said, I'm bringing in a cocktail vendor Monday because gonna need
True.
it.
It's true. He's going to be all sorts of nerves on Monday when we do the show. Just everybody wait and watch.
Yeah, I know. It's gonna be awful.
All right, that's all. That's all.
And this, this is like my worst case scenario. Even though I'm glad, I am glad that I get to at least watch the playoff game, and it's on Monday night instead of Sunday when I'll be, again, I've got a game and traveling and all that stuff. So at least it's Monday. But at the same time, what do I hate about primetime games the most? What have I said before? You have to stay up late if your team is in it, and then you've got to stay up till 11:30, 12 o'clock to
You're
to
starting to
see
sound
what
like
happens.
Vince.
And then you just deal with the bitterness if it doesn't happen, and you got to go to bed. And
I like when my team plays first in the week. It gets it over with. I have to watch everyone else and know that the Cowboys are the finale of the week. I think that's the worst part.
Yes, exactly. We've got some split. I think this is just the second time they've had a Monday night playoff game. They just started this last year.
Tom Brady never lost to the Cowboys. That narrative is also out there.
We'll have Buck and Aikman. Yeah, that's right. Tom Brady's never lost to the Cowboys, but he's also never played the Cowboys in the postseason. So I don't know if that's good or bad.
This conversation has just made my stomach hurt.
Hey, you brought it up.
Yourself into it.
You brought it up.
All right. Well, have a great weekend. We will talk to you Monday. Vince and I will be back on Monday. Jesse and I will be here Tuesday. We'll see what we're talking about. Oh, boo, Kenneth O'Donnell. Hit the like button, though, if you would. Subscribe, rate, and review, and we'll talk to you later. IB Nation Sports Talk Rapid Fire.